coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
And hell hath cometh again, as we're in the what they call it in the baseball in the seventh inning stretch of college football, as we're coming down the last couple of weeks. Playoffs, they got 2 more weeks. Well, actually 3 more weeks, right? They got this round, the next round, the next round. So not really the 7th inning stretch, but the 6th inning stretch. But you get what I'm trying to say here. It's almost over. It's went by like a blink of the eye. And always, at the end of the season, you're going to have talk and chatter of coaches on the hot seat. And now that Brent Venables has lost to Navy and then turned around and promptly lost his defensive coordinator, Zach Alley, to a program that a lot of Oklahoma fans tend to think is a step below them, that being West Virginia. Some people would consider it a lateral move at best. And there's been a lot of chatter that maybe, just maybe, Brent Venables should be on the hot seat next year. Not only that, maybe he should be getting rid of this year. Maybe they should just get rid of him this year and go ahead and start anew. That way, if you bring in a new coach, he can go ahead and take his lumps, and you'll actually have a real excuse for losing a few games next year. And then by the year after that, in 2026, that new coach will have his program set in place to get Oklahoma back on track quicker. A lot of people think that if Brent Venables stays 1 more year, that it'll be a wasted year, that he'll be a lame duck coach and a coach in a hot seat. A lot of Oklahoma fans disagree with that. They say that he just needs a chance to right the ship, to get over a lot of these losses that he had and the horrendous situation the program was left in by one Stinky Linky, OTBOW, as y'all like to call him. You know, the bitch out west, Lincoln Riley, or the Skittle shitter out west, whichever one you prefer. We can start calling him the Skittle shitter out west. That would be what? The SS Skittle shitter out west. SSOW, right? But we already got a few people up in here already. I'm going to bring up the top 25 coaches hot seat. There's a lot of people that's on the hot seat that you wouldn't expect. That really surprised me somewhat. But let's go ahead and see who we got up in here. Already do a little bit of a roll call. First one in the house tonight was Big Stack Kelly. He's got his badge. He's deputized. He says like, share, subscribe, add, multiply, but never subtract nor divide. The Outlaw Posse is now in effect. And Big Stack Kelly is right. That would help me out immensely if y'all just jump out real quick and smash that like button and share it to all your friends. Tim Gillespie's in the house as well. He's got his badge. He's deputized. You'll see a lot of people here with the badges. They're deputized. That's because they're in the Outlaw Posse. If you want a little extra something, other than just subscribing, which is absolutely free, you can actually get a membership. It's $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. That's just a half a bottle of water for the Outlaw. You get your badge, get deputized, as well as possibly have a random 4 Horsemen shout out on the podcast for you, as well as possibly be the comment of the day. Baby DJ is in the house. He said, let's go. Let's get this thing started. Brent Venables has 1 more year, says Thunder OU Center, who has almost perfect attendance. The best attending subscriber of all time. That being Thunder OU Center. Brent Venables has 1 more year. I'm giving him 1 more year. I'm just curious to see Ben Arbuckle's offense around. Haven't seen Mary Caroline in a while, but she's in the house. I'm with Big Stack, she says. OU Boomer Center. Haven't seen you in here before, brother, but you may have come in here a few times, and I don't remember your name, but he says lifelong Sooner fan and BV I trust. He is not only a wonderful maker of men, but an awesome coach. Any other point in time, he would have already found major success from NIL schedule and injuries. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff, I will give you that, is working against him. I'm sort of wishy-washy a little bit sometimes on it. I feel a little bad for calling him out because I've been a big supporter of Brent Venables since day one. But it's just the whole Navy thing and the way that shook out, and then on top of that, losing your defensive coordinator to a middle-of-the-road team, it sort of just aggravated me a little bit, to say the least. Let's go on down here. We got Roy Miller in the house. He has his badge. He's deputized. I like Brent Venables, but he's not the man for the job. Like I said, there's a little bit of a split going on here. But got Rhino 26 in the house with a big fist bump as always. I'm torn on this whole issue. Rhino 26 been a big supporter of the program as well. Tell us, Rhino 26, what's your thoughts? You think Brent Venables deserves one more year? He's already had 3. Or should Oklahoma start anew? Go ahead and get that new coach now. And, let him go ahead and take his lumps. And then by year 2, he'll have his program in place. If Brent Venables gets fired next year, then you have to hire a new one. You have to bring in another new coach. Then you're actually giving up 2 seasons compared to 1, right? That's what a lot of people will say. Those that are on the bandwagon of firing Brent Venables say they don't want to waste 2 years in transition, so to speak. Well, let's go ahead and bring Killer Breeze in here, our resident Oklahoma roughneck. Hopefully I said that right.
What's up, brother?
Are y'all called roughnecks? Jackasses? What is it y'all called?
Tread lightly. They are the roughnecks. That is correct.
I don't know, man, about treading lightly, man. I've never been a light treader of sorts.
No, you're not a light treader, and there's no need to tread lightly right now. Look, from the conversations we've had outside of your show that I have been a BV supporter from day one. I love Brent Venables. I want it to work out for Brent Venables. But at the end of year 3, you have to have serious concerns. And one thing that I have always said is that as long as the recruiting and the roster continues to improve and stays up, then I'm not as worried about some of the red flags that we see. But man, at this point now, and some of it's not his fault. Part of the problem is NIL and the portal area, the era that we're now in. But recruiting has slipped this year. This was not a great year for recruiting. We had a mass exodus of players, and it wasn't just bad players. LSU, Nick Anderson is going to have a big year at LSU. You just watch. He should have never left. And we lost other players. Sean McCullough, Farouk left. We've had a mass exodus of some really good talent leave, and we haven't, in my opinion, really replaced it with equivalent talent. I mean, man, it might work out, but you have to be concerned about the state of the roster right now. John Mateer can be, and Ben Arbuckle might be the next best thing ever. That's great. But if our wide receivers aren't any better, but there's just serious problems all across the board, man. There's red flags everywhere. We have and Ivan Carrion, the leading receiver, who's tall as hell, over 200 pounds. One of the big problems we had all year was size in our wide receiver core after we got decimated by injuries. Why? We seem to have a problem analyzing even the talent that we have. Xavier Robinson, the running back, not really getting used until the very end of the season, and then non-existent in the bowl game. I mean, I just don't – there's just so many question marks. And at a certain point, you got to look at the very top and go, man, I love BV, but maybe – a head coach is not his forte. That you have to start asking yourself. The reality is he's getting another year. That's not going to change. He's getting another year, whether he deserves it or not. He's getting another year, and I hope it works out. But
a lot of people say that it's not the time of year to fire and hire somebody, but that's not true because there's a lot of teams that bring in coaches in January. Alabama did it last year with Kalen DeBoer. So, I mean, this ain't really a bad time of the year to do it. I mean, there's no good time to lose a head coach, period, to be honest with you. So, I mean.
No. I mean, look, the Zach Alley thing, listen. The Zach Alley in terms of what it will actually be as a loss to Oklahoma, is probably not going to be that big of a deal. The optics of it are horrible. The optics of it are really bad. And I'll tell you, one of the things that kind of sucks, is that now, once again, Brent Venables has to worry about not just losing coaches who leave after saying that they're staying, but he's taking players with him, because all of a sudden Lewis Carter, who granted was not going to be a starter for us next year, but was absolutely going to be a starter and was one of our key rotational players, Kuz is making comments about, you hope he gives West Virginia a look. Dude, where do you think he's going? Don't act like you don't know where he's going. He's going to West Virginia because your boy Zach Alley is clearly tampering with the roster, So as far as Zach Alley goes, he can leave. That's fine. I mean, again, he's not going to be a huge in terms of the loss. I don't know that it's a huge loss. I think Oklahoma is going to be fine in terms of the actual blow to the program, but the optics of it do not look good. And for that reason alone, I would have preferred him to stay. But
so Zach, not only is West Virginia taking Zach Alley by the perception, and it probably ain't, there's probably more to it than just West Virginia taking y'all's lunch money. It's more like maybe Zach Alley felt like he wasn't getting his own defense in place. Maybe he wasn't the man. Maybe Brent Venables was controlling the thing too much. But if now you're taking Zach Alley, and now you're saying they're taking Lewis Carter too, the perception is there that you got a middle of the road team basically taking Oklahoma stuff, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it's a horrible look. It's great for West Virginia, and dude, you and I have had this conversation outside of the show and away from. So I'm not just saying this because Kuz is in the chat. I've told you that I like West Virginia. I want West Virginia to do well, so it's fine. I don't care that that part is whatever, but it doesn't look good. It looks like. There's something wrong in the program. That's what it looks like from the outside in. And as an Oklahoma fan, you're kidding yourself if you don't think that's what – I mean, look, we can all love Oklahoma as much as we want. Blue blood or not, perception is reality. And to the people outside of the Sooner Nation who don't have a vested interest in the program, they have no reason to believe that their eyes are lying to them. And what they're seeing right now is a program that's gone 6-7 2 of the last 3 years, lost 3 bowl games in a row, and the loss to Navy, man, particularly going for the 2-point conversion. After you look, who goes for the 2-point conversion in a situation like that? The underdog, the lesser team. The better team does not go for broke, especially. What the hell makes you think you're going to convert a 2-point conversion after you failed to get 4th and 1 twice?
Yeah, exactly.
And you think all of a sudden you're going to get a 2-point conversion? That was dumb.
Well, that was my argument. It's like it ain't like it was an up and down offensive game. Neither team was scoring a lot of points. So what makes you think you're going to get that? Just go to overtime and take your chances there. Your percentages are a lot higher than a 50-50 play in that situation. And me and you have been taking a lot of heat in the comment section on my channel. I've even been blasted by a few Oklahoma people that are normally, very cordial with me, saying that I'm trolling y'all and that I'm actually mad because Alabama beat Oklahoma and I'm trying to cause problems within y'all's program. And I've been supporting Oklahoma ever since the Lincoln Riley thing, man. So for them to say that I'm doing this because y'all beat Alabama, man, you think I'm going to do that over just one freaking game? Man, I can't believe that someone would say that to me, man.
Well, there's players there's people that have read some of my comments telling me I'm flip-flopping or I'm a flip-flopper. It's asinine. I've been a fan of Oklahoma since 3 yards and a cloud of dust was how they were playing football. When it was just run the ball up the field the whole damn time and hard-nosed defense. So I'm not a flip-flopper, but I do call balls and strikes. And just because I love Oklahoma does not mean I'm not going to call it like it is. And you have to you're kidding yourself. You're being disingenuous if you're trying to say you don't have concerns at the end of year 3. There's too many things that are fundamentally wrong. Our analysis of talent, our inability to keep a coaching staff together. Once again, nationally, that's not looking good. What do you think recruits are being told? Well, like, goddamn, they're being told they're never going to know who they're playing for. And what just happened here? I thought that was Brent Venables' I thought that was his protege. I thought that was his boy. Why is he leaving the SEC to go coach at West Virginia if something's not wrong in Oklahoma? Like, whether we know that is wrong or not, or bullshit, BS or not, doesn't matter. It's the perception of it nationally, and it's a problem. And all of that comes on BV. I want it to work out for Brent Venables, but I care about Oklahoma more, and I care about the program more. And again, if we had brought in a bunch of other top-notch talent to go along with the John Mateer snab out of the portal, I wouldn't be as concerned. But if BV only gets one more year, and we know the schedule that we've got, now add Michigan to it, so it only got harder. You trying to tell me that you feel good about where we're going to be? I mean, I don't.
This is a comment I was talking about.
What's the point of going through one more horrible year, you know?
This is a comment I was talking about right here from a David Orwig, who's normally a big supporter of the show. He says, I know you're mad at us for beating your team and putting them out of the playoffs, but isn't that the way it goes? And he goes on to talk about how Brent Venables is, going through a real tough time with his wife, with, having cancer, and he deserves another shot and all this other stuff. But basically, just, saying that the only reason that me or anybody else is saying this is because we got some kind of hidden agenda. And there's no hidden agenda here, man. I've been supporting Brent Venables since day one, man. It's just that, like you said, when you see something wrong, what's wrong with saying, hey, there's something wrong here? That doesn't make you any less of a fan or somebody that's got a hidden agenda, does it?
No, of course not. That's stupid. I mean, again, if anyone questions whether or not I'm a true Oklahoma fan, but first of all, kiss my big white ass as far as that's concerned. But yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie about what I'm seeing. Like, I'm concerned. It bothers me that I've never seen our tight end room in such a bad place, man. And the tight end coach who used to play tight end at OU, I mean, he's only got one good recruit to his name, and that recruit only came because Michael Hawkins was coming to Oklahoma. That's why we got Devon Mitchell. It wasn't because Joe John went and pulled some good recruiting. So it concerns me. I've been concerned about that since the jump, and it concerns me even more that at the end of year 3, not only is it not fixed, but we're going into the 4th year with the exact same setup in place. That's a problem. That is not okay. Our running back room, it concerns the hell out of me that the guy who was 4th and 5th on the depth chart seems to be our best running back. And oh, by the way, after we figure that out, we're gonna not give him the ball in the bowl game when we need desperately to win a game and not go have a losing season again. We're going to give him the ball 6 times and give the guy who hasn't done jack all year long, we're going to give him the ball 20 plus times. Like, what are we doing? That is BV's, ultimately his call. So what evidence do we have to believe it's going to be better next year? That's what I'm saying. That's what we need to be worried about. If it looks like that way to me, what do you think it looks like to people who don't give a shit about Oklahoma? I mean,
on the outside, just you see all these people getting fired, resigning, forced to resign, like Cale Gundy, and it's just like one thing after another. You see all these people leaving, and then you see all the players that you was talking about leaving, and the only constant and the only consistency at Oklahoma right now is Brent Venables. And losing, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I know he had a 10-3 season, but 2 6 and 7 years. If it wasn't for the Lincoln Riley crap, he'd probably already be in trouble, wouldn't you think?
Oh, well, that's the thing. Yes, he would be. And again, to be fair, BV has dealt with things that he's kind of one of the first coaches to have to deal with some of this stuff, on the level that he's had to deal with it. And again, injuries, But once again, we've gone back to the NIL issue that we had when I was complaining about, and I took a lot of heat saying that we had players who could have played, who were claiming to be injured and who could have played. Well, what do you know? Deion Burks, one of the guys I was complaining about, who has one of the best on the NIL packages we've offered, and was the crown jewel of our portal class last year. He makes this big announcement. He's coming back to Oklahoma next year. He's good to go, but again, doesn't play in the bowl game. I'm just like, what has this dude done to earn his money this year? You know what I mean? And again,
there's got to be some new rules put in place for sure. Rhino26 has a question. He says, if you fire, who are you going to hire? See what Arbuckle's about first year before kicking BV to the curb. BV can handle the D. I was all about that, giving him another year and whatnot, like I said in my podcast. And it probably would have been better if they just went 5-7, not went to a bowl, to be honest with you. Because when you lose to a team like Navy, even if they are 9-3, it's just not a good look. And then you turn around and lose your defensive coordinator, then it starts changing your mind. You start thinking, well, you see these people, all these people just keep leaving, and things just don't seem like they're progressing any better. So there's a lot of guys out there. I hate it when people say, well, if you fire them, who you going to get any better? And there's plenty of people out there that you can get. I don't think Oklahoma should go the assistant route this time either. They've done that a lot, but they've been successful for the most part. But I think y'all can go out and get a proven head coach. I listed Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell is a guy that's won in a place that's pretty hard to win. Won 11 games at Iowa State. Never has happened at Iowa State. That's just one. I like Chris Kleiman. I like Kurt Signetti. I even think y'all should take a run at Marcus Freeman. I know that might sound like it's reaching, but LSU went up there and stole Brian Kelly away from Notre Dame. And if LSU can do it, I think Oklahoma could do it. But that's just a few names. Just, to say that Oklahoma don't need to fire somebody because they can't get anybody better. I just don't. I think you're selling your program short. Oklahoma's a blue blood. They can get somebody if they really want somebody.
Yeah, that's why I believe, all the talk about with Zach Alley leaving, this is showing that Oklahoma is not the program it wants. Look, Oklahoma is, because of their history, because of how many years they've won at a high level, the conference championships, the Heisman winners, the national titles, the overall winning, but all of that, they will always be a blue blood. It will get fixed. I'm not worried about that at all. In the large scheme of things, we've had 3 bad years in the last 25, 26 years. I'm good with that. And even if we have a couple more, I'm not concerned about, does Oklahoma get it fixed? They will. They will always, at some point, just like when Bob Stoops came in after a couple of bad coaches, at some point the right guy is going to meet the right opportunity, and Oklahoma is always going to present a great opportunity. So I'm not worried about that. And I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope I'm wrong because I don't think I know everything. I hope I'm wrong about Brent Venables. But I'm also, at this point now, the benefit of the doubt is gone. It has to be proven. And the only proof is the product we see on the field. He can say all the right things because he has been saying all the right things. He can create great programs and great culture like the Soul Mission and all of that. All of that is legit. But if the product on the field doesn't match all of that, it doesn't matter. And so that's what I'm worried about. Because as of right now, the legend of Bud Wilkinson doesn't mean anything to these players today, especially in this NIL era.
Well, I made a mistake the other day. I made a mistake the other day when I said Michael Hawkins was probably, a lot of people were, showing him a little favoritism because he was a, homegrown Oklahoma boy. He's not. He's from Dallas.
He's a legacy player.
What I meant to say was he has a legacy status.
Correct.
His dad went to Oklahoma. And the whole connection to Oklahoma and connection to Bob Stoops thing that's been going on for a few years now. That's what I'm really referring to. I'm saying Michael Hawkins shouldn't be given a leg up on Mateer for that reason. And I think that Brent Venables needs to quit letting things be dictated to him if it is. I don't know if it is or not. I just heard rumors that, Bob Stoops and some of his guys, they got their hands in the program, and maybe, they need make a little bit of a break from Bob Stoops. I don't know. What do you think?
I just think, I look, man, at this point, I think fresh blood just can't be a bad thing. Let's get some fresh ideas in the building. Let's get some fresh perspective in the building. How can that be a bad thing? And so, yeah, look, we had fresh blood when we brought Bob Stoops in himself. You know what I mean? He was an outsider. He had no connection to the program. So, I just don't see that being a bad thing. And again, I want it to work out for Brent Venables. He's going to get another year regardless. So I hope I'm wrong, man. But again, we just haven't, I just don't see the roster we need to be able to win the games he needs to win next year. I just don't see it, man. I hope the offensive line can be better. But once again, that's another thing that was a head scratcher in the bowl game against Navy. I wanted to see a bunch of players, young players, finally get some run. Let's see what we got, because we know what we had this year wasn't great. So let's see what we got. Devon Mitchell, arguably the best physical prospect we had in the tight end room, doesn't even get one snap. The young offensive linemen that we have get barely any play, So, and again, that all comes down on BV's watch, So, look, I hope Ben Arbuckle is as good as he seems like. The more I've looked into Ben Arbuckle and the more I've learned about him, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. But man, based on the wide receiver play that I just saw in the bowl game against Navy, it don't matter if Joe Montana comes back and starts and gets under center for Oklahoma. If they're dropping the ball constantly, who cares who's throwing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and if the line can't block for whoever's back there, what does it matter?
We got a lot of questions coming in here, a lot of comments. I can't get to them all. So if y'all want to get your comment read out, just click on the little money dollar sign at the bottom. Click on that, write your comment out, then hit send, and then it'll highlight it and push it to the top, and we can get to your comment above everybody else's if you got a question you really want answered for just a small donation to the program. Tim Gillespie has his badge. He's deputized. The 2-point try is not just the 2-point try. It's indicative of other bad decisions. He's still making first-year head coach mistakes, and him handling the defense. Is he the defensive coordinator or the head coach? I made that point too. Is he might just be a one side of the ball coach. He might be the opposite version of Lincoln Riley. I don't know, but Tim makes a good point. It seems like he's still making some mistakes that first-year coaches make.
That's how it came off to me, man. I can appreciate the balls that it takes to go for two in a situation like that. So, I'm a guy who doesn't like to see someone make a ballsy move. But with what was at stake, I thought it was a bad call, And OU Boomer Sooner asked a question saying, outside of Saban or Smart, who else would you trust to do any better under all the circumstances BV has had to go through, and trust that they would have done any better? Hey, man, you might be right, OU Boomer Sooner. Maybe no one could have done any better. But the reality is, the question you got to ask yourself is, has BV done good enough? Again, it doesn't really matter because he's getting another year anyway. So it's kind of a moot point.
Well, my question there on the flip side of that is, how do you know that someone wouldn't do better? Well, how do you know? How do you know someone with some head coaching experience wouldn't be able to come in and do better than Brent Venables, who's had no head coaching experience.
Well, man, I mean, just look at it this way. You know what I mean? Like, even with the injuries we had this year, look at teams like Navy, who just beat us, or Vanderbilt, who just had a great run this year in the SEC, considering who Vanderbilt normally is. Those two teams do not have better talent on the field than Oklahoma had this year, even with the injuries. So how is it those teams are able to at least play at a high functional level? I mean, this year on offense, we look well, I've never seen anything so putrid in my life, you know. So that's what one of the things that, you know, it seems like to me in my experience watching college football that when you have a great coach, that he comes in and whether he's got chicken salad or chicken, you know what, on the roster, you at least see a general improvement in that team. You see them at least play disciplined. You see them making good decisions on time management and game time decisions. Those things improve right away, regardless of the talent. And that's what usually takes a little time, is to just bring in the talent that not only can play discipline, but also has that dynamic function, you know, feature to them as well, and can make plays. But so ask yourself that question: is that what we've seen with this team? That's one of the problems that I've got. I feel like no, we didn't see great improvement across the board right away. We just didn't. It's been a slow thing. And yes, he had some extenuating circumstances that have made it more difficult. But man, at the end of the day, who cares? That's what it was.
Mike Happy wants to know, you said for what it was at stake. Mike Happy wants to know what was at stake.
What was at stake was another losing season, man. That was at stake. If you can't tell me that the momentum and the feeling going into the offseason isn't 180 degrees different if we don't lose that game. Not only if we don't lose, but if we actually continue to play like we did in the first quarter and beat their ass instead of just barely winning, maybe we don't feel quite as bad, you know? So that's what was at stake. Also, Brent Venables getting a bowl win. He's 0-3 now. So he has to win 4 in a row before he even has a winning bowl record. Like, those things matter, man. Nationally, those things matter. And at the end of the day,
if you went from 9-3 to 8-4, or 8-4 to 9-3, it wouldn't really been that bad. But the where the loss was placed and what it impacted in having a winning or losing season, it's absolutely important. And to, like you said, to the optics of the whole thing, man, it just, recruits look at that, whether we like it or not. They look at that stuff.
And the people recruiting against us, they pounce on that. You don't think the Texas, the guys recruiting for the Longhorns are just licking their chops? And look, Mike Happy is a guy I see in a lot of chat rooms, and I agree with Mike a lot. So, man, I'm not trying to argue with you about it or say that you're wrong, but that's just where I feel like there was actually quite a bit at stake. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it doesn't really matter. What's the difference between 7-6, 6-7?" I disagree. I think it makes a big difference. You know, if he had won some bowl games already, and this was just a one-off year, then yeah, 6-7, 7-6,
Yeah,
okay, whatever.
He hasn't won a bowl game since he's been here.
Right.
So every year you're losing, and you're leaving on a losing note. Every year you're going in recruiting season is off a loss, and it's just not a good feeling.
Correct.
You're going to lose bowl games. It's going to happen, but you don't have to do it every year.
Dude, look at what the bowl game loss did to Jackson Arnold's confidence. It ruined him. I mean, it absolutely ruined him. If they actually win that game instead of losing to Arizona, which once again they were up, and late in the game and should have won. I mean, that's another problem we've seen under BV is that a lot of these games they've lost. It wasn't like they just came out and got their butts kicked from the word go. A lot of them, they started off winning and they couldn't hold on and win the game. I mean, Arizona was one of those games. And because we lost that game, particularly the way that we lost, and some of the turnovers that we had, Jackson Arnold's never been the same since.
I feel like Jerry the King Lawler and JR, man, when I see a wrestler coming from the back that you didn't expect to come out here. Look at here. Look who's coming from the back. It's that West Virginia scoundrel.
Oh, Coos, what's up, man?
What's up?
What's happening?
Things are going good out there in West Virginia, man. They got over
Yep.
Rich
At least
Rod
for
back.
today, brother.
And now
You know,
a lot of
Zach's
West
last
Virginia
name might be
fans-
Alley, but he took country roads all the way from Norman, Oklahoma to West by God, Virginia, baby.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, West
That's a
Virginia
great-
is a part of this whole problem, man. The reason why a lot of people have sort of had the straw on the camel's back is because, you know, they lost to Navy, and then they turned around and lost their defensive coordinator to a former Big 12 rival in West Virginia.
I don't know that I'd call us a rival, but yeah, that's yeah, we're happy about it, man. And I know OU fans are not, but in all seriousness, I mean, we understand and respect the type of program Oklahoma is. That's why we're so excited to be able to get their defensive coordinator, you know?
Oh, listen, man. If I'm a West Virginia fan, I'm stoked right now. I'm absolutely stoked, you know. And so, and again, you know, if Allie doesn't want to be at Oklahoma, I don't think anyone, you know, I don't. Then he should go where he wants to be or where he feels like he can do a better job.
Well, it seems like Rich
You know,
Rod's
I don't think it's a huge loss for Oklahoma, technically speaking, in terms
Right.
of the product we'll have on the field. But in terms of the way it looks, I think it's a massive blow. I mean, I said as much before, even when it was just rumors. I was in one of your chat comment sections, said something to that effect. That, man, like, you know, it would be a big blow. And honestly, I really didn't think he was going to do it because, again, we were told this big story about, you know, I mean, again, that's the other thing too, you know, we it's not like OU fans were chomping at the bit for Zach Alley to come. Zach Alley all of a sudden was announced to us that here's this wonderkind of a coach who just loves Brent Venables so much that he calls him his second father. He's a mini BV. You know, that's what they've sold to us to make, you know, about Zach Alley. So the fact that that turns out to not really necessarily be the case, you know, it looks bad, man.
You know, Rich Rod came
in.
in.
It looks bad.
When Rich Rod came in, he come out and swung for the fences at the press conference when he said that he thought West Virginia could contend for national championships. He didn't just say Big 12. He said national championships. And the reason why he says that is because he did have them. This ain't just him blowing smoke up your ass. He had them on the cusp of going to the national title game when he was at West Virginia. And now he goes out and he gets a budding superstar that people were talking about, like you said, in Zach Alley, and he gets it from a blue blood program. So people will see Rich Rod as, you know, sort of backing up what he's saying.
Yeah, and our AD too. I mean, our AD said, "Hey, we're going to give him the resources to do what he needs to do to hire the coaches he needs to hire." And they went out and set a record for the highest paid assistant coach in West Virginia history by grabbing Zach Alley from Oklahoma. I mean, $1.5 million a year is a lot of money for a school like West Virginia to pay an assistant coach.
Oh, is that what he's making? I didn't know he was making that much.
That's what's been that's what's being reported. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's actually more than I think he was making at Oklahoma. I think
It is. From my understanding, and this hasn't been officially reported, but I've seen it on some message boards, is Oklahoma. Well, actually, I think I may have been on a podcast today, actually. But anyway, Oklahoma reportedly tried to bump his salary up significantly to keep him.
Yeah, I think they thought they had a deal in place.
But he left anyway.
Yeah.
So they're just
well, hey man, look, at the end of the day, I'm happy for West Virginia. I want West Virginia to be a good program. I've always said that. I mean, you know, I appreciate any fan base who loves their school as much as West Virginia fans seem to love West Virginia. So I'm happy for West Virginia, but I'm pissed, man. I mean, you
guys are sort of in you guys are, historically better program than we are, but you guys are in a similar place with Venables that we were with Neil Brown. I mean, he's a great guy. He checks every box. I'm in my garage and my light went off. Checks every box. builds a great culture, but he just isn't winning football games. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that's what he's getting paid to do, right?
So that's it. That's it. I mean, and again, you know, we're all going to find out, you know, next year will come soon enough, and it'll be nut cutting time, and he's either going to do it or he's not. And the general consensus is that if Brent Venables doesn't have a pretty significant turnaround next year, that he's done. And which by the way, probably if I'm Zach Alley, that's part of my decision, you know, is that
Probably
look,
so.
I can go get a promotion and title, run my show. Rich Rod traditionally does not get involved, from what I understand or what I know of him, does not really get involved on the defensive side anyway, because he's calling the plays. So you know, he can kind of go, look, I'm pretty sure they're not getting rid of Rich Rod, and you know, he's getting those 3 years, and so I'm at least getting these 3 years.
Right.
And I might not have Dick after this. And if Rich Rod fills the spot, I might not be able to go. You know, so from a decision standpoint, like, I get it. It's not that far fetched for me. What I'm disappointed in is the fact that, from what I understand now, Zach Alley was interviewing for not just the West Virginia job. He was doing a little bit of interviewing, because that supposedly is standard for coaches to keep their interviewing chops up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, whatever. But apparently he was doing some interviews, so they knew that something could be in the works.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the fact that you can't keep that guy,
Yeah.
That's what I think looks so bad. You know,
and I've actually had people come out and surprise me that people are actually sort of questioning Joe Castiglione now. How long has he been with Oklahoma?
He's been there. He's been there since right before Stoops got there. So he's been there a long time, man. And it is, you know, everybody has their run. Nobody's run lasts forever. You know,
that's what Sergeant Lincoln saying. Sergeant Lincoln saying the real problem is Joe C. and that fat fedora hat.
I mean, you know, and it is hard to fire and think about getting rid of people that that have been so important to the program and have had a lot of success. You know, it's not like Joe C doesn't have a pretty good track record, but he might be too invested in Brent Venables, you know, like, because he does seem to be personally invested in the BV. I think all of us are a little more invested in Brent Venables' success than we normally would be, because of how much he's loved by the program, by the fans. But you know, man, everybody's, again, you know, at the end of the day, the program is what matters more than anything else. You know, Bob Stoops said that the program is more important than any one person. And ultimately, if it's not happening on the field, I mean, what other conclusion do you come to?
Yeah.
Big Stat Kelly says $1.5 million for a DC is cheap. From what LSU pays theirs, hell, we pay our D-line coach makes $1.2 million. I don't know. I don't think it's the norm to pay your defense quarter $1.5 million across the board.
I don't think so.
It's not for. I mean, but you got to take in perspective the entire coaching staff, assistant staff, is probably going to make between $5 and $6 million, and he's getting 1.5 of that. Yeah. That's the West Virginia doesn't have the deep pockets that LSU does, Kelly. Big Stat Kelly. That's the difference. West Virginia's highest defensive coordinator pay ever was Tony Gibson in 2018. He was making $850,000 a year.
OU Boomer Center wants to just basically know why the Oklahoma's donors couldn't keep Zach Alley. Why couldn't they put up the money to keep him?
Well, I think at the end of the day, Gabe Eichert said it best himself. Like, at the end of the day, Zach Alley wanted to go coach with Rich Rod more than he wanted to coach under Venables. Like, that's what it comes down to, man. You know, and I mean, and look, I mean, that's not an insult. Rich Rod is a very popular guy, you know, in his circles. You know, it's not like this dude has been known for being abrasive and out on the fringe. Like, he's usually I mean, pretty popular outside of his little debacle at Michigan. He's been pretty popular wherever he's been. So it doesn't surprise me that Zach Alley enjoyed his time with Rich Rod. And Rich Rod was a big part of Zach Alley's success too. Like he gave him his first shot as a DC, right? I mean, wasn't he the first guy that gave him a DC position to start off with?
I think he may have been DC at Louisiana Monroe first.
Oh, was he?
While Rich Rod was the OC, I think.
Maybe so. I think you're right about that, actually. No, I think you're right about that. But either way, he's, there's a lot of excitement with the Rich Rod experiment going on over in West Virginia, Rich Rod 2.0. And so I'm not terribly surprised that one of his former proteges wants to come back.
And something else that was brought up to me earlier by someone is apparently Zach Alley likes to run the 3-3-5 defense. That's his preference.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
And that's not apparently Brent's preference. So at least not in the SEC. And maybe maybe he just wasn't a fit for what Brent wants to do.
Well, the only thing that I think that's clearly. That makes sense. That makes total sense. Well, that's what I was just about to say. But here's the part I don't understand. I've heard a couple of different things. I've heard, well, he was never going to be his defense. It was always going to be seen as Brent Venables' defense. Well, you didn't know that when you took the job. Like that was you questioned whether or not that was the like that. So he had to know that. He's worked under Brent Venables before, so he knew what he was going to be like. The part of it that doesn't make sense to me is if that is the case, why did he even take the job in the first place? Yeah, that would be kind of my
sort of way falls back on Brent Venables for these are the hires he's making, right? He's supposed to be making these hires.
But it is also just kind of timing too, man, because if you think about it, like maybe he did know going in and he wasn't super thrilled about it, but the West Virginia opportunity didn't exist at the time. So, like that changed. I mean, Rich Rod ended up coming back. Like there was no guarantee that was going to happen, but it did.
Hey, I mean, he still probably took a huge pay. He probably still took a huge pay increase from Jacksonville State to Oklahoma. You know what I mean? And he probably couldn't say no to that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, man, at the end of the day, I just don't like the way that it looks, but it makes sense. I get why he would make the decision, and I don't think it's a death nail for Oklahoma in terms of the plan moving forward. I will say this. I'm not really stoked on pulling Wes Goodwin in as the DC. I mean, Dabo's about to fire him. I'm not, if I'm Brent Venables, especially to keep the cohesion, I'm promote Brandon Hall.
Well, ain't Goodwin and Brent really good friends? It's more of that buddy stuff. The whole thing, man. It's like, look, if buddies, man, you got to go out and hire the best candidate, right?
That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't. Wes Goodwin, if Wes Goodwin would have come over with Brent originally, then I feel totally different about it. Then that would have been great. But, and maybe ultimately it doesn't matter because maybe Brent Venables is still calling everything in the defense, even though we were told Zach Alley was calling all of the defense, which I think he was. So maybe it doesn't matter, but I don't know, man. I'm probably this time I'm just promoting from within. You got one more year to prove it. Brandon Hall's been a successful defensive coordinator before, and he's a hell of a recruiter. That's one thing that Zach Alley didn't really recruit anyone at Oklahoma. So I'm not sure
about. Question about West Virginia real quick. Y'all got an offensive coordinator yet?
Yeah, didn't y'all?
No, we don't have we technically don't have one. But I mean,
what they're going to do now? Now they're going to take Ben Arbuckle.
No.
Mine's well, man. There's a wholesale in Norman, Oklahoma.
No, I
Hell
was going to
no.
say until they got a line coach, I was going to say maybe we could still beat Bill Beatonbow back, but
well, you might not get a lot of argument from people on that right now. The fan base seems to be firmly divided in the middle on that one.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Well, that's what
Yeah.
Sergeant Lincoln was saying here. Sergeant Lincoln says most fans on social media are living in a Disney story. They think BV and Beatonbow and Joe C can never do no wrong.
I would like to see Brent Venables get rid of Joe John Finley and DeMarco. I think they've had their run. I'm Emmett. I'm kind of in the middle on Emmett right now. Like, I don't really know what to think there. Like I was in love. I thought Emmett was just a straight killer at the beginning, but this year has really given me big question marks. So I would have rather seen, it bothers me that Ben Arbuckle, if you think Ben Arbuckle's so great, let him bring in who he wants to bring in, man. Why are you making him keep anyone? Like, if they're good enough to stay, and if Arbuckle wants to work for them.
Isn't that rare that don't coaches normally let their coordinator hire their own staff?
Absolutely. That was the when they hired Ben Arbuckle, one of the comments I made early on was that it makes me think that he must want to keep some of his offensive staff, because Ben Arbuckle doesn't have the cachet yet to come in and make demands. He's 29 years old, man. He's barely been doing this for very long.
Man, it's a perception that there's a buddy system going on with just hiring your buddies, that kind of deal.
I mean, again, man, like, I'm fine if Ben Arbuckle comes in and by Ben Arbuckle's thoughts that he thinks, hey, Beatonbow's, we need to keep him here, then keep him. That's fine with me. Yeah. But if he doesn't want Beatonbow, or if he doesn't want, if you think he's this great up and comer, then let him do his thing. Yeah. It's the same way why I thought it made no sense. Dabo brings in Garrett Riley to Clemson to call the Clemson offense, because Dabo's too damn stubborn to let Garrett Riley really do whatever he wants.
Sort of like that Jerry Jones syndrome. Jerry Jones tries to put his hands in the coaching staff, and then you let the head coach hire the coordinators and then delegate accordingly, right?
Yep.
I think that's what Rich Rod's doing, because the only defensive staff that had been hired, and it hasn't even been officially announced yet, but the only one that was leaked to the media was defensive line coach William Green. Now, a lot of people were thinking, why would you hire a D-line coach before you hire a coordinator? But William Green worked for Zach at Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
So
I saw that.
It looks like he's going to let Zach hire the rest of the defensive staff, or at least help make the decision on it anyway.
Which again, it makes sense. If you want to give the guy every chance to succeed, then you should let him put what he thinks he needs in place.
Yeah.
You either believe in the guy or you don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people that don't really like Joe John Finley.
I've yet to meet one podcaster or fan of Oklahoma that likes that guy.
I can't stand him. He's just straight stealing money from Oklahoma right
That's
now.
What he
Unbelievable.
Said,
he might be the most unpopular coach I've ever seen on the internet.
He sucks, man. He can't bring in good talent. He clearly has no, the things that he did this year with Bauer Sharp, defy logic. You're just looking at it going, what in the what?
And did he get a promotion halfway through the season?
Who?
Joe John.
Well,
wasn't he the interim
only because he was. This is another problem that Brent Venables has. All the co-coordinator titles. We had actually Seth Luttrell was never the OC. He was always the co-offensive coordinator with Joe John Finley. They were offensive coordinators together, but Seth Luttrell called the plays. And then on defense, you had Jay Valai, Todd Bates, and Brandon Hall, who I think are and Zach, who are all co-defensive coordinators.
Good Lord.
It's kind of nuts, man. I don't like that either, to be honest with you. Joe John Finley technically. No.
It sounds like you're trying not to. It almost sounds like you're trying not to hurt somebody's feelings. Okay,
maybe
we're not going to completely make you in charge. We're not going to make you in charge. Both of y'all in charge. but that never ends well. My experience is it don't end well when that happens.
It's big boy football, man. It's you got to put your egos aside and do what's best for the program.
Sean James need a new offensive staff, not just a yes man. Says Sean James.
That's right. And being super empathetic doesn't always serve you well as a head coach. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the cold reality of it.
I think the first red flag I got from all this, and I just ignored it. You know how you ignore something and just think maybe it's just an anomaly kind of deal, is when Cale Gundy was forced to resign. I've always had something in the back of my mind about that just didn't sit right with me.
It was not a great way to start the Brent Venables tenure off.
You know what's funny?
Not great.
I had never thought about this, and I mentioned a minute ago how there's a lot of similarities to what you guys are going through, what we went through. Neil Brown's first year, he was forced to fire a defensive coordinator over some behind the scenes controversy because the guy was apparently trying to convert people to Christianity or something. I don't know. So they fired him.
That's about right.
And ever since then, the Neil Brown era never did go. I mean, it's like it started off on the wrong foot and never got any traction.
Well, yeah, dude, we've just had, like, that's the other thing that's been kind of crazy about this last 3 years is that it just seems like we can't, like, there's just every so often we have some kind of major nonsense that takes place. The Cale Gundy thing, the Art Briles nonsense, man, it's just been kind of constant, to be honest. The Jeff Levy, thing.
Well, I'll tell you what really aggravates me is when people try to tell me that Cale Gundy resigned voluntarily. I'm like, no, he didn't, man. He was forced to resign. If you say he wasn't, you're naive. You're just being silly at that point. Basically, he was fired, if you want to be honest. He was basically told, you can either resign or we're going to fire you. And that's what he done. He was forced to resign. There wasn't no voluntary resignation right before the season, and you don't have a job lined up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
and that was a big loss because not only was he, he actually called a really good game in a bowl game before Levy and Brent Venables took over in that first year. But he was a good recruiter, man. He's the guy that recruited Adrian Peterson. He's got many great recruits under his belt and knew the area as well as anyone, including the North Texas, Dallas area. So losing him was not just a little thing. And look, what he did, nobody's down with anyone using the N-word. Like nobody's down with that. So, but if it happened the way it supposedly happened, is it a fireable offense after 20 years of dedication to the program? I don't think so. I think you could have done some kind of suspension if you needed to do something drastic. You could have suspended him without pay for a little while or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because all he was doing was repeating the words of a song, right? That's what
supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly he was reading lyrics off of an iPad, and how he happens to see that word and start reading it and not realize what he's doing. I mean, it does seem ridiculous to me. But
next time those lights go out, man, you need to come back as like Kane, man. Just be like, boom.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Actually, I'm gonna have to jump off here. My phone's dying on me, so I'm gonna have to jump.
Right,
well, congratulations, man! It was a great win. You guys kicked Oklahoma's dick in the dirt on this one.
Let's hope it translates to wins on the field, brother. That's.
I hope it does, man.
That's at the end of the day. That's all that matters, and I think you guys will be fine, man. At the end of the day, it's Brent Venables' defense anyway, and I think y'all got a good OC, so I think you'll be good.
I think West Virginia
will be good soon enough.
I think West Virginia is going to make the Big 12 great again.
I hope so.
That'd be good. If you ain't taking, you better win with him.
Yeah. Good night, fellas.
Spot the ball. Man.
Hold the rope.
That's right. That's right.
And that was the magnificent Kuz from
Kuz's
Corner. to go saunter on over there and take you a shot of top shelf college
Top
football.
shelf. That's right. That's right.
That's his little
Hey, look,
catchphrase.
you got to give it to Kuz. You got to be happy for the guy. You know, he's very knowledgeable about not just his program but his conference as well. He's got a good show.
He's almost 10,000, so he's doing something right.
Yeah, he's got a good show, man. So definitely check him out if you haven't checked him out already.
It says
I give him
Jeff-
credit.
Jeff
He didn't
Shaw
rub it in
said-
too much.
Do what?
I said I give him credit. He didn't rub it in too much. He
Yeah,
didn't really rub it in at all, really.
yeah. If it been me, I would have rubbed it in.
I know that's right.
If Alabama
Where's Justin?
took that shit, I would be like, yeah, see who's the real blue blood in the house now, don't you?
Well, he's thinking it. Don't worry. I know he's thinking it.
Yeah,
So
he's
Justin
thinking-
Bayshaw said Kale could develop players also. He coached every position on the offense, and he always produced with injuries or not. I agree, man. It kills me that Kale's not on the staff.
That's another thing that was, as a red flag is all the injuries and people not being able to recover from them, supposedly. I don't know if they were just playing possum or the strength and conditioning program wasn't properly getting them healed up. We had that issue at Alabama for a little while, and we ended up letting that guy Scott Cochran go. I mean, he was pretty funny, and he was, real loud and boisterous and off the chain. But in the end, he was getting players hurt because of his strength and conditioning program. Sometimes you can go over the top a little bit with that stuff. Not saying you want your players to be doing yoga on a Sunday morning with Stinky Linky, but you don't have to barrel into these players either when they're coming off an injury. There's got to be a fine line, and middle ground there, and some people just don't know where that middle ground is. I don't know who your strength and conditioning people are, so I don't know if it's their fault or these players are just laying down.
Seems like we got a lot of people in the chat. Justin Bayshaw, Sean James, Thunder, all of them agree that firing Cale Gundy was a bad omen, not good for the program.
That when I heard that, the first thing I said, man, I hope that don't come back to haunt him. And it looks like it is.
Me
It
too.
looks like it's haunting a little bit.
It
Because
does, man.
he might not have been a big time cog in the program, but it was just he had this
He
presence.
was. But no, he was a big time cog in the program because he was one of the big recruiters. And to the chat's point, also a great developer of talent.
Yeah, David,
You know?
missed out. David Orwig, you missed out earlier, man. I featured your comment, the one where you basically said the only reason that I'm trying to get Brent Venables fired is because Alabama got beat by Oklahoma. You'd like to explain yourself?
None of us want Brent Venables to be fired.
I've
But
been
what
supporting Brent Venables since day one, man. All of a sudden, I'm just going to want him fired because my team just lost to him in a game that we deserved to lose. And I'm going to suddenly just not like him anymore. That's not been my motto, my motive since day one. My MO's never been that with Brent Venables.
No. But you got to call balls and strikes. And when what you're seeing is a bad product, 3 years into the experiment, that's what it is. It is what it is.
Speaking of balls and strikes,
Oh, this was great. This
How
was
about this?
great.
I just want
love
to take
this.
a real good shot at Con Time, all the Con Time groupies out there that's got a poster of Dion over their bed on their ceiling. What an absolutely historic 2 seasons for Colorado. They're 0-6 versus top 25, 2-9 versus power conference teams with at least a 500 record. Tons of smack talk to opponents, cool chains, and sunglasses worn. And to this day, Dion still has yet to win a championship in anything. He can't even win a bowl game, man. He couldn't even win a Celebration Bowl back in the day. So,
Yeah.
what's up with all the Con Time people?
Which,
Y'all say,
by the
"Oh,
way,
they
didn't
What?
Jacksonville didn't his team just win the Celebration Bowl without him there? Didn't they just win?
Exactly. I even posted that in my little community. Look at here. Jackson State was actually able to win the Celebration Bowl without Deion.
Yep. Big shock.
I mean, it's really, really, y'all going to be mad next year because it's really misleading. You come into the Big 12, and the Big 12 was sort of in a shaky situation. The Big 12 conference this year wasn't as good as the Pac-12 was last year before they got decimated by the Big 10 and the Big 12. The Pac-12 was a really good conference last year. You see how well he done. He was 4-8 in a good conference. So I'm just saying, I think the Big 12 was a little weak this year. And I think next year, without Sakazulu Sanders and Travis, I stole the Heisman Hunter, I don't think he's going to win 9 games again next year. What do you think?
I don't think he's going to be there next year.
You think he's fixing to dip?
100%.
What do y'all think?
Why would he stay, man? Well, realistically, let's think about this. Do you honestly think – okay, so you got to ask yourself this question. Do you think he would have any other opportunities that he could take advantage of other than the Colorado job? In other words, is the Colorado job the only thing he could possibly do? I think we all know the answer to that is no. He's going to have plenty of other opportunities, people that will be willing to give him a job. Are those opportunities, at least some of them, or at least one of them, going to offer more money, more prestige, more visibility than the Colorado job? Very likely. So now you got to ask yourself a question. Do you think he's literally going to keep a job in Colorado when his kids aren't there anymore? That isn't the best opportunity for him? No way. So why would he stay? He's going to have he's going to have a worse team. Why would he stay? You think he's going to coach there next year without his kids there?
I don't know. He got a good recruit I don't know if it was the portal or high school recruiting. He got a real highly rated quarterback to commit to him. So that might keep him.
It's that kid that was committed to Lincoln Riley, right? That Julian kid.
Might have been. I mean, whose side are you taking that, man? It's just like, damn. And let me tell you how bad I dislike con time is I actually rooted for Lincoln Riley when they played each other. I can't stand him, man. Can't stand him. He's just so full of shit, man. And then they try to play the race card if you criticize him, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I don't care if he's white, black, or purple, man. It's just the way it's the way he presents himself, man. The way he comes off, just the complete attitude. And they went 9-4. They should have probably, damn, man. In that conference, they probably should have won the damn thing. Be honest with you.
Sean James, where did Phil Loho, did he end up back with Levy at Mississippi State? Are they back together again? And Big Stack, that's not funny, man. That's just not funny.
He might actually be being the head coach of Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly keeps giving his money away. You know, Brian Kelly's been having to put money in the NIL funds for LSU because they don't got the money. It's just like our AD begging for money at Alabama. LSU's having to take money from their own coach in order to make those NIL demands. So, hell, they might be the coach at LSU one day. Who knows?
Could be.
Probably Florida State. I mean, they went 2-10 this year. If they have another bad year this year, they're probably going to fire that guy. Florida State's where he went to school at, so I could see him going to Florida State.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Now, they asked him about pro ball, and he said he wasn't interested in pro ball. But you know how people are. They say they ain't interested in some shit, and then they really are.
Who is Sergeant Lincoln Osiris? What is he saying? Our AD is already a con. Why not add con time to pair with him? Who is your AD?
His AD is Joe Castiglione. He's an Oklahoma fan. You don't like Joe C.
Oh, he's saying
he's saying Joe C's a con man.
I got it.
He called it a big, goofy, fat-ass fedora hat that he wore. I didn't even know he wore a fedora hat.
He does wear a fedora. It's kind of it's.
What's the? Have you ever watched Peaky? Is it called Peaky Blinders? Have you ever watched that series?
Love that show.
All right, what's that hat they wear? They put the razors in. What's them hats called? Flat something or another.
They are called. Oh my God, I can't believe I don't remember the name. I don't know what we call them is. Oh damn, man! Now you're gonna make me look this up.
Big Stack Kelly said, "Shit, LSU's raising money like crazy. Yeah, and y'all gonna spend it all like Jimbo Fisher did, and you're gonna be ass out, and they all gonna transfer." So that's another thing. You asking RAD, asking our fans to give money right around Christmas. Why are we gonna give money to these players, and then they're gonna leave the next following year, and we just lose our money? We're not doing enough. You know, you need to fight. You're Alabama. You need to fight. I mean, I thought paying for them high ticket prices and setting up a deck in the late part of August, burning up and shit, I thought that was fight. You know, overpaying for a damn hot dog that I could have burnt myself at home for a lot less. And the apparel, you know, you're paying $70 for a hoodie, and that's not enough. Oh, no, it's not. You got to pay the players now. No, you're going to pay them. You're the AD. That's what you was hired for, man.
I totally agree.
You can brag about the money y'all they want now, but it's not going to be funny when y'all run out, man. You can't just keep on going. It's not tenable. Just like Nick Saban said, man, you're going to run out of money eventually. Obviously, y'all were lacking for talent, man. Y'all lost us 42-13. Y'all keep talking about, well, we beat Oklahoma and y'all couldn't beat them. It don't matter because we beat y'all. And not only did we beat y'all, man, we beat y'all down in Baton Rouge, man. So for you to make fun of us for losing Oklahoma, it's sort of ass backwards, man. I don't know. Just saying. It'd be different if y'all beat us, but y'all didn't. And it wasn't even close. Not to take a shot at your alma mater, Killer Breeze, but
it doesn't bother me at all. David Orwig, what are you talking about? I think our lives are more important than football always. What do you mean, man? What's going on? What are we missing?
You didn't upset me, man. You didn't upset me at all.
What are you informing us on?
Look, man, if you make a comment on my channel, it's within my rights to use it. Don't make the comment if you don't want me using it, man. I was just using it as an example of how some Oklahoma fans are basically grilling me and Killer Breeze just because we hold a different opinion. We just think that things look, you know, from a perception deal outside the program, people out on the outside, recruits and people like me, it's not very good optics what's going on in Oklahoma, losing the Navy and then turn around losing your defensive coordinator to a mid-card program like West Virginia.
Correct. The only right-wing Duck fan is in the house.
Almost Rose Bowl time, old school style. You got a former Pac-12 team playing a Big Ten school in the Rose Bowl.
So, man, talk to us, right-wing Duck fan. Give us a score prediction. I want y'all to beat Ohio State so bad, man. Y'all are getting screwed having to play those guys in this round.
Now, those two teams should probably not meet until the national title game, to be honest with you.
Horrible seeding. Just the seeding is so horrible. But give us a score prediction. What do you think, man? What do you think, JPC? What do you think? You think Oregon can pull this off? Does Ohio State actually have the best roster left in the tournament?
I'm seeing from a lot of people out there that if Ryan Day doesn't win the national title, which is crazy, they might fire him. If he loses this game to Oregon, they may fire his ass.
If he loses to Oregon, yeah, I think there's a good chance he gets fired. But do you think they have the best roster, talent-wise, left in the top to bottom, left in the draw?
Ohio State does, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
How they lost to Michigan, I'll never know, man. That's just mind-blowing to me. I don't see how they done that, man. I don't understand it, man. Hopefully that's not a sign for my team that Michigan's coming around and they whoop our ass too in the bowl game. Tomorrow, by the way, at 11 a.m. Y'all brought them 11 a.m. games over here with you, didn't you?
Yeah, it's goddamn 11 a.m. games.
I hate that shit, man. And I hate 11 o'clock game, man.
It's terrible. What bowl game? What bowl is it?
Alabama's playing in the ReliaQuest Bowl. It used to be the Outback Bowl back in the day. It's
the Outback Bowl? Yeah.
It used to be Outback Bowl. They changed damn names so much. I just call it the Outback Bowl forever, just like the Sun Bowl and places like that. We're playing Michigan in Tampa tomorrow, 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Brutal.
Ronald Right Wing Duck saying he feels good. They have minus 2-0 linemen. Yeah, they are down some old linemen. I forgot about that. And we have Birch back. I'm saying 31-21 Ducks. Hope you're right.
I like that. I like that. I want Oregon. I want Oregon to win that game. That's for sure.
College Jr. agrees with you. Yes, per stars, the Buckeyes have the best roster in the nation this year. Don't always mean you're going to win, though, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Just ask LeBron James about getting his ass handed to him by Nowitzki, whatever his name is.
By the way, did you see he was on I saw a clip of him. He seemed pretty desperate. He was getting criticized of some of the decisions he's made at the end of games lately. And he made the comment, I always make the right decision every time, every single time. That guy is losing his he's not handling losing his place in the game very well.
Oregon versus Texas in the Cotton Bowl for a trip to the national title. That'll be a good matchup. Just to aggravate those people out there that hate the SEC, I wouldn't mind seeing Georgia and Texas play a third time. That way Georgia can beat them 2 times a year.
I would like to see that.
Not because I want to see Texas win, but because I want to see them get beat 3 times in 1 year by an SEC school. That'll be a new record. That's never happened before. So Texas will have a nice little futility record of 0-3 against Georgia in 1 year.
Yeah. That's very possible. Although it seems like they're just looking for a reason to bench Quinn Ewers. So,
Okie Long Guy wants to know, is this an OU podcast? Say it's half and half.
It certainly has a lot of Oklahoma Sooners time dedicated to it.
I got a lot of stuff up on the wall, as you can see. I got the Boomer Sooner Schooner on top of my Alabama belt. It's probably what brought us bad luck. It's probably why we lost, because I put that Boomer Schooner on top of our belt. And then I got the Oklahoma hat and the Alabama hat right next to each other. So it's pretty Crimson Nation eccentric. But I also talk about other colleges like Oregon, Nebraska, LSU. Sometimes I even talk about Notre Dame. I talk about just about everybody. Con time Deion Sanders. I like to grill the shit out of him. Where I made a lot of money, though, was off of Stinky Linky. I made a lot of money grilling those Stinky Linky. Old Lincoln Riley.
Well, he just learned.
This is more of a Skittle Shitter channel. We like to call the USC people the Skittle Shitters.
Yes, this was Corrections 101 is in the house. What's up, brother? Yeah, this has been a very much a channel dedicated to the grilling of one Lincoln Tebow Riley. You know, one of the things that with Zach Alley leaving, he created, there's the Tebow, TBOW, that bitch out west. And now there's a new Tebow, that bitch out east, TBOE, which is Zach Alley, who is now on the East Coast of West Virginia.
We also got a new one for Lincoln Riley. It's the SOW, SSOW, the Skittle Shitter out west. Sal, as in pig. You stink just like old pig in some damn mud and a load of dung, man.
But you know, by the way, just for all the Oklahoma fans out there, this is for you guys. If you really want to be honest about what West Virginia is getting, you got to take a look at the product. You got a guy that, once again, he goes out like a weasel. You know, apparently Oklahoma thinks they have a verbal deal in place. With a new contract and a new salary, but he doesn't sign. He's delaying signing the contract. Apparently, meets with everyone, tells them that he's not leaving, and then decides to leave. Gets asked publicly by Gabe Ikard on the record if he's leaving, and answers in such a way that he doesn't technically lie, but basically says he's not coming. You know, that he's not leaving.
We got that Bill Clinton thing going on. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The first trans coordinator, Zach Alley.
Just a little sucky, $10, long time. Sergeant Lincoln Osiris says the first trans coordinator will be Zach Alley. I love that West Virginia's being so progressive. I don't know. I think Lincoln Riley might have had a few trans people out there working for him a time or two. Because, you know, they don't show up for the football games. Half the time they're at them transgender volleyball games in Santa Barbara. Spiking each other's balls in their mouth. Playing the Teabag Championship.
That's right. Yeah, man. I definitely I've enjoyed many grilling sessions with old Tebow. He's aged quite a bit. He's aged quite a bit, man. If you see him now, when you know, anytime I see him on TV, he looks weathered.
Sergeant Lincoln Osiris. I love that name, by the way.
It's great.
Sergeant Lincoln Osiris. Is that like a character in that Tropic Thunder or whatever it was called, where what's his name goes blackface?
Robert Downey Jr.
Is that Robert Downey Jr. in the Icon?
Yes.
Going blackface?
Yes. That is Robert Downey Jr.
Man. So I'm referring to the picture of Allie with a recruit, and his legs are so close together like he doesn't have a wiener.
He definitely, you know, what can you say, man? Like, he just went out like a bitch.
That might be another reason why Brent Venables might be questionable. Why is he going to hire a transgender to be his defense coordinator?
What do you think about Wes Goodwin coming?
I just never heard of him, man. I'll be honest with you. I read about it. They said that him and Brent Venables used to be buddies at Clemson or something. I'm like, oh yeah, that explains it right there.
But he's the defensive coordinator at Clemson right now.
Yeah, and their defenses are not that great to me. I mean,
not good. No, I totally agree. That's what Texas, I'm saying. He's about to get fired.
Look, Texas scored 38 on them. People's like, well, that's not too bad. Yeah, but Texas probably should have scored about 52 on them. To be honest with you, Texas give away a lot of balls in that game. Just saying, they should have scored 52, maybe even 59 points on them.
Well, I'm not trying to get the guy that Dabo's about to fire, and Clemson doesn't have a, you know, supposedly the issue is that it's they don't have the right talent, you know, that's the big problem, but he's responsible for that too. So,
well, they've given up over 30 points quite a few times this year, right?
Yeah. I'm not trying to get Wes Goodwin over at Oklahoma. Just promote Brandon Hall and be done with it.
Who's Brandon Hall?
Brandon Hall is the safeties coach in I think he's a safeties coach for Oklahoma.
What about the defense coordinator?
But he's a great recruiter. Brandon Hall's a great recruiter, and he was a defensive coordinator at Troy, and they had pretty good defenses when he was the DC at Troy.
What about Pete Golden at Ole Miss?
No.
Their defenses were a lot better this year. Ole Miss, that is.
Were they really?
Yeah, it surprised me because, Pete Golden was here at Alabama, and we sort of forced him out, and come to find out, it might not have been Pete Golden's fault. It might have just been that Saban was trying to dictate things, sort of like Brent Venables in a way. So I don't know.
I mean,
you could take LSU's defensive coordinator because didn't Brian Kelly blow his wad on some players or something?
That's what I heard.
Taking money from the coaching staff. Defense coordinator at LSU might not be too happy about that. He might leave and go to Oklahoma. That's messing with.
We'll see what happens. We'll take him.
Who's that?
We'll take.
Thunder OU Center says Brant Venables. First choice was Wes Goodwin when Brant Venables got hired at OU for the head coaching job.
And if he would have come back then, I would have been great with it. That's totally different. It just seems like why bring him in for this one last year? Like, again, it's not like they're knocking it out of the park in Clemson right now. So just promote from within, man. You got one more year.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that basically, I don't know, wasting a year?
That's what I'm worried about.
Corrections 101 agrees with you, though. He agrees with you. He says Hall is a dog. Says Corrections 101.
Hall can do it. Hall can do the job.
Why don't y'all just get Teddy Lehman to come back?
Well, a lot of people were talking about having Lehman come back as the linebackers coach, because they were the general consensus is that they'll promote Skalski, who was a player under Venables, and then a coach for him before. And now I think he's an analyst at Oklahoma right now. So promote him to the linebackers coach, but I've heard some Teddy Lehman talk, believe it or not. So I don't know.
What about Bosworth? Can you not coach defense?
I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I don't know. There's nothing that makes me believe he couldn't coach linebackers. I mean, how could he not be good at that?
Brian Bosworth's one of those guys, though, man. It's like the big star name players, they're just not usually good head coaches.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But he's been humbled. He's not the same guy that he used to be, man. That big-ass ego he had when he was the boss, that's not the guy that you see today. It's just he was humbled big time by that. Do you ever see that guy's 30 for 30 on ESPN?
Yeah, I did.
It's good. It's really good.
Big Stat Kelly says Baker isn't leaving. He's a Louisiana boy and he played at Tulane. So what's that got to do with anything? Just saying, if Oklahoma wants him, they'll just go there and take him. Just so you know. I mean, they just haven't decided whether they want to take your shit or not. And to be quite honest with you, I've been sort of, riding the fence a little bit because I sort of don't want to see Brent Venables get fired in the way. Zach Alley is probably not going to be as good as West Virginia thinks. I'll be honest with you.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, again,
I think West Virginia, not West Virginia, but I think Oklahoma might have let him go on purpose. So they could bring somebody in that they wanted that gels with Brent Venables. Brent Venables probably realizes, hey, made a mistake here. If you can get a better job somewhere, go ahead and do it because I want to move on as well.
Maybe. And you know what? If that's the case, then, that's the call he makes. So
says Baker's getting paid $2.5 million. So you're overpaying for a defense coordinator. What you saying? Look, yeah, he's gonna have to give $1 million of that to the players, ain't he? Because ain't that what Brian Kelly did? The coaching staff is having to pay, right? I don't think he's gonna like that too much. Brent Venables just going to saunter into Baton Rouge and say, hey, check this out. And he's going to be like, see ya. You're going to LSU. Bye-bye. So long. Look at Josh Heupel. He looks like he eats Brahms every day. Poor old Josh.
You know what Brahms is? Do you know what Brahms is? You ever heard of Brahms?
I haven't.
So Brahms is a
sausage.
It's an ice cream burger joint up in Oklahoma, North Texas area. It's good.
Okay, he looked like I thought he was talking about bratwurst or some shit.
No, he's basically saying he's picking out on ice cream and burgers.
He's probably eating that too. He's probably eating ice cream and burgers.
He's clearly getting his fair dose of that.
It's like you said, man. He looks just like Bobby from King of the Hill.
That's right.
Pay up, MFers. 2.5 is a lot of cash. You get wings on it. There it goes, flying out the window. All that money. Y'all be broke.
If we want to take your guy for 2.5, we'll take him.
Hey, y'all will be broke in a couple of years, just like A&M. Yeah, y'all want to play all that money, and then they're going to leave. Look, man, you just better hope that Joe C. don't get that fedora hat on and decide to come down there and go Godfather on your ass. Take your shit.
That's right. John Ritchie's bringing up Steak and Shake. Another good one. But that's right. We'll take your shit.
It's got to be sort of, I don't know, awkward for you. Smack talking to LSU fan, right? Since you went there.
A little bit. Johnny John says that Wes Goodwin is going to be the new linebacker coach and one of 4 co-DCs. Everyone needs to calm down about Zach Alley. He was a glorified linebacker coach. And I agree, he may not be quite as good by himself.
Y'all going to have 4 co's? I hope that's a joke.
Dude, I think it's true.
I hope it's a joke, man. Because
I don't think it is.
We were just making fun of them for having co-coordinators.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is a joke. That's one of the prize. What I'm saying, man. Like now, it's stuff like this that in the beginning I never liked this co-coordinator stuff from the very beginning. But I kept my mouth shut because I'm a fan of BV and I wanted it to work. So I kept my mouth shut. But now, like, I'm not keeping my mouth shut anymore. This is ridiculous, man. What is this? What is the point of it? I've never seen that before.
So we're going to have co-special teams coach, co-linebacker coach?
I've never seen it before, so I don't even know what the hell to make of it.
Are y'all going to have a co-athletic director soon to help Joe C. out?
I mean,
we're going to have 2 Oklahoma teams. It's going to be co-Oklahoma. Co-Sooner. Yeah, instead of go Sooner, y'all co-Sooner. Co-Sooner. Boomer Cooner.
It's just ridiculous, man. It's totally ridiculous. We got a new member in the house, Jay.
Jay has now saddled up and mounted up, and he's ready to go. He's going to be in the Outlaw Posse. You'll be getting a shout-out on the next podcast as a new member. We will deputize you properly. Might even let Killer Breeze do it. I might have him on as an interview. I've never had him on as an interview. Let you do some deputization.
Kyle Burnett said the co-DC is just a title. BV is a real DC. I agree. BV is the real DC, but what's the point of all the co-DC titles, man?
Yeah, it's like you're patronizing people.
What's the point of it?
It's like you're afraid to hurt somebody's feelings, man. It's like I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, so y'all are all in charge.
Right. And if everybody's in charge, then nobody's in charge.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
I threw that alley-oop up there and you slammed it home. Fly slam a jamma, Houston Cougar style back in the
truth.
day.
It's the truth, though, man. if everybody's a co-DC, then what the hell is it? Then it's nothing.
Cock Sooner.
Correction says the Oprah of co-DCs. You get a co-DC title, and you get a co-DC title, and you get a co-DC title. Everybody gets a co-DC title.
Oh yeah, give Alabama something.
Title.
Give us a co-athletic director. Don't beg for money at Alabama during Christmas. Y'all don't go buy that Christmas ham. Y'all give us money to give to these players so they can buy the newest line of Con-Time Deion Sanders shades, because that's important, you know.
And skin lotion.
Here comes the retard comments. Well, at least we lose to Vanderbilt. Well, you do know Vanderbilt went to a bowl, right? So did Oklahoma.
David,
by the way,
David, we're all getting along here.
By the way, Oklahoma and Vanderbilt both went to bowls. Tennessee was in the playoffs. So for y'all to keep throwing that out there makes you look sort of stupid. We didn't lose to a bunch of scrubs, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to take a shot at Oklahoma. If I knew something else about you, I'd probably take a shot at that. But I'm not going to take a shot at Oklahoma just because you're acting like a super tard in here. Bet you put your cape in the back. You put your cape in the front, don't you? You got a big R on it.
That's right. John Ritchie, what's up, man? John Ritchie says that if that is the case, then Killer is the co-owner of the channel. I don't know about that. Big Kelly.
He's my co-host.
That's right. That's right. Too many Chiefs and not enough Indians, says Big Stack Kelly, who it's been highlighted has been a member for 13 months. 13 long months. I like it.
Y'all didn't lose to Vanderbilt, but y'all did lose to Navy. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Neither one of them have.
I feel like I'm getting caught in some crossfire here.
Navy would have been probably 4-8 in the SEC.
That's probably being generous. That's being generous. Right.
I'm saying they probably would have won their non-conference game against Bucknell and Harvard and shit. They play all the time.
Yeah. They may not win a game in the SEC.
Even Corrections 101 knew that there was a retard alert. He's got the sirens up.
Well, you know, in today's day and age, you are surrounded by the retards. They're everywhere. You got to watch out.
Here's another vague, goofy-ass statement. I thought you was a smart guy. Beat who you're supposed to beat, man. Well, no shit. Captain Obvious comment of the day. I guess that's why y'all should have beat Alabama, right? Just saying. We lost to Vanderbilt, right? Y'all beat Vanderbilt, but we lost to Vanderbilt. So why didn't you beat Alabama? It wasn't like y'all was playing in Tuscaloosa. It was down there in that fabled Death Valley. You know, the earthquake stadium. One earthquake that day was Jalen Milroe running up down the field on y'all. How is it Oklahoma could turn him over and y'all couldn't? Just saying, how come Oklahoma stuffed him for 3 points and y'all got 42 put on your ass? Just saying. Bring it. Come on, man.
Big Stack. You getting him hot in the neck. Everybody knows what happens when his neck gets hot.
That's right. There's another thing. I'll be talking about the SEC either about, the SEC plays a cupcake at the end of the year. So that's why they beat us. That's why they got an advantage.
Now, Johnny brings up a good point here. This is a co-title I can get down with. Johnny says that we are all co-owners of the Little Darling Strip Club in Valley Brook. I don't know what that means, but I just like the concept of it.
All I need to know is 2 words, strip club.
That's what I heard. I heard owner of a strip club. That's what I heard too. And I thought to myself, I would like to take advantage of being an owner of a strip club. That would be nice. That seems like a fun time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well.
Correction says he's going to the OU game in Tuscaloosa next year. Wants to know if he can stay at your place, Outlaw.
Yeah, you can. We got a little 1-bedroom loft here that I stay in. I stay on the top floor because, I like to oversee all my subjects out here in Tuscaloosa. I think Big Stack Kelly would like to be the co-owner of Magic Mike's or something. I think it'd be more his deal. What do you think?
I could see Big Stack making it rain in the club. You make it rain when you make it rain in the strip club, Big Stack.
I bet he can move like old Channing Tatum. Be out there doing the worm and shit.
Hell yeah. Matthew McConaughey.
Hell yeah. He looks like Matthew McConaughey's bastard son.
Yes, Johnny. If you contribute in any way, you get a co-owner title.
Hell yeah.
I like it. It's a fried chicken and strip club. Call it the Chicken Strip.
Hell yeah. Hey, I actually went to a
Smells
strip
like
bar.
chicken.
I went to a strip bar in Dallas where they actually served steak.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that before.
I mean, it was high end, man. I come in there with my cowboy hat on, and my friend had he just had a regular hat on, and they stopped him at the door. I went on in, no problem. They stopped his ass like, you can't come in there with that hat on like that. But he's got a hat on. He was like, yeah, but that's a cowboy hat. They let you in with a cowboy hat, but you can't come in with a regular hat on.
yeah, well, that's
We
how it
didn't
is.
stay there
man.
very long, to say the least, because we couldn't afford that place.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude over
John
there,
Rich, what's that?
dude was over eating a steak while a girl was stripping right around his plate, man. I'm like,
Yeah, it's probably not the cleanest place in the world to have a steak. It's the strip club. That seems a little foul to me.
hey, that's
Big
hey,
Smoke
hey,
used to
people
work
make
at a
fun of-
strip club.
people make fun of strippers, man, but that does take some athletic talent sometimes. Some of the stuff they do.
John, you missed my rant earlier this during the show about
Yeah, I
how
saw
I felt.
I saw a girl pick a dime up off the stage one time with her, she just got on that dime and it was flat. It wasn't standing up; it was flat, and it's just like, and she sucked it up in there, man. Look like a damn jukebox. See what you
Oh
done
my
done?
god!
See what Johnny John's bad influence, man. He gets me off the way.
Woo! Wow.
We're gonna have to go party with Johnny Johns and next Halen one day. You know, he's got his own group. Heard he's a lot better than that NIL commish guy.
Wait, who is that? Is that Johnny in the picture?
What?
Who is that in this picture of Johnny's profile? Is that him and his band Next Halen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's him. That's him. We're gonna be backstage.
You guys got to have some kind of an album online or something where we can hear y'all play, man.
He does.
Direct us to it, Johnny.
They got some music. Yeah, if you got a YouTube channel on that shit, drop it in the comment section.
Yeah, John Ritchie, how do I feel about the offense next year? I'm excited to see what Arbuckle can do. I'm concerned about the state of the roster and the wide receiver room and tight ends room. What are you laughing at, man?
he said the girl dropped a dime. She sucked that booger up in there like a damn vacuum cleaner, man. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Okay. $20 definitely make you holler, Big Stack. Long time. He says he's the worst.
Takes a lot of money to get back in that champagne room. So you know.
Yeah. But man, we're gonna see. I guess we're gonna see here what happens over the next couple of weeks with these. Does Oklahoma lose more players? Is Lewis Carter the only casualty we're gonna have from this Zach Alley nonsense?
Zach Alley's already raided your team.
Well, that's what it looks like. I mean, he was a big rotational player for us in the defense. He wasn't going to start next year, but he was probably going to start in 26.
This is the coacheshotseat.com. They actually have a website dedicated to this shit. There you see it. Number one right now is Ryan Day.
That's amazing.
Can you believe that shit? Dude's like 66-10.
Lincoln's number 2.
Lincoln, yeah, since I last seen it, he done moved up. He was like number 9. He done moved up to number 2. And then some dude from Kent State, Luke Fickle of Wisconsin, Hugh Freeze at Auburn. Surprise, surprise, Auburn's going to change coaches again. Scott Satterfield, Mike Loxley, Brent Brennan, Brent Venables has made it into the top 10.
Where is Mike Loxley, the coach?
He's Maryland.
That's Maryland?
Yeah,
Satterfield of Cincinnati. Is that who that is?
that's right.
And then where is Pry from?
Virginia
Is
Tech.
that Virginia Tech? Yeah.
That's top 10. Now, last time I looked at it, Brent Venables was like number 16 or 17. He's done moved up in the top 10.
Well, he's definitely on. I mean, he's got 1 year. That's all he gets. So wait, Mark Stoops is number 11? Really?
Right. And look at there. That's old big stack, Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly bleeding out. He's out there paying for LSU's players, and then he's going to get fired next year.
It's amazing that Mike Norvell is not higher on that list.
You go 2-10, man. That should move you up the list quite a ways, right?
That's pretty bad, man. And the ACC at that.
Jeff Levy is number 16. He's done moved in the top 20.
Well, they were really bad this year. Like, again, you would expect, if you're a great coach, you would expect to see some general improvement right off the bat. And you didn't really see that with Mississippi State this year. So
Ryan Day's going to end up somewhere. Ryan Day's going to end up somewhere, and he's going to make Ohio State pay if they fire him. You watch and see, man. That'd be funny.
yeah, he definitely seems like. But then, the other thing you got to, will he be great at another place? Because do you think he's going to have the same kind of talent he gets at Ohio State wherever he goes after that? Probably not.
Probably not. You might be right.
I mean, that's one thing that he doesn't have to worry about is, man, every year, dude, they never hurt for talent, ever.
I could just see him being like the guy at Nebraska after Tom Osborne. What was his name?
Solich?
Yeah. Going somewhere else and being very successful.
I agree with that.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't. I mean, I think he's a good coach. It is bizarre that he's lost to Michigan these last years in a row. I mean, that's just kind of crazy. But, yeah, Luke Fickle's not doing great at Michigan. I mean, Satania is the guy Johnny Johns is talking about from Arkansas. And, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he does look like he has legit skills. And from what I understand, he's probably going to be the guy returning the ball on special teams next year so that we don't have to have Peyton Bowen, our defensive backs, catching the ball on special teams and struggling to do so at that. So,
a lot of people have forgotten about Luke Fickle at Wisconsin. Yeah. And that's probably why he's on that top 10 list, because Wisconsin, they just can't get it on track, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, man.
Big Stack said Ryan Day needs to go to Oklahoma.
He might. I mean, they might have a job opening up.
Is Ryan Day... Is he more of an offensive or defensive coach? What's his background? Was he a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator?
No, he's offense.
Is he?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
So I'm almost positive he's offense. I mean, I could be wrong. It's not like I'm a huge Ryan Day fan, but I'm pretty sure his background is offense.
Johnny John said, "Shit, if Ryan Day takes over, Ryan Day wouldn't have a dozen co-coordinators." Just as many losing seasons as John Blake. John Blake had a horrible record, man. I don't think Blake. Maybe Gary Gibbs.
He was bad. No, Gary Gibbs actually won more than Brent Venables. Gary
Gibbs somewhere in between, right? Brent Venables is like an in between Gary Gibbs and John Blake.
Well, I
Sort
mean,
of middle. He's almost Gary Gibbs.
yeah,
It's almost Gary Gibbs, but not quite as bad as John Blake.
yeah, that's fair. But the crazy thing is though is that John Blake actually was not a bad recruiter. So they actually had talent on the team. That's why one of the reasons why Bob Stoops was able to turn it around so quickly is he did bring in some players like Josh Heupel, but they had good talent on the team already. He was just a horrible coach. So but yeah, that's fair to say that he's somewhere in between. Cale Gundy was not a great coach, but Cale Gundy couldn't beat Nebraska, couldn't beat Texas. But he would go 9-3. He was like a Solich kind of record, but I wasn't sad to see him go.
You got a skittle shitter in here. You got a skittle shitter in the house. Trojan Fight says, how is Lincoln's 2-0 versus the mighty SEC? Well, it's probably because y'all played the two teams that are notorious for losing out of conference games. LSU done it last year with Florida State. Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame earlier this year. So, yeah.
Yeah, and please spare me the bringing up your 2-0 against the SEC when you went 6-6 in the Big Ten against teams like Maryland. Who were the teams who were their losses to? Maryland and who else?
They lost to all the M schools. Everybody that had started with an M, they lost. Yeah. Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota. 3 times.
You've been hemorrhaging players in the portal as bad as anyone. All of your 5-star talent is gone. Please spare me the USC talk because you have a couple of meaningless SEC wins.
Thinks the Big Ten's better than the SEC.
Okay, prove it. Prove it. Where are the national championships to prove it? Well, if the Big Ten is so good, then why can't you can't even hold the SEC's jock when it comes to national championships?
Well, until Michigan won one last year, the only team that ever won one was Ohio State. It was just Ohio. Right. It was just Ohio State Invitational for a better part of 20 years.
But what do they have in the last 25 years? 3 out of 25. Give me a
three out of the last 40 years.
Big Ten is the most is so overrated. You have to step away from being a mid-card conference because of the crap you have in that.
Well, the conference. SEC is going to have a down year every once in a while. It's going to happen, but we've won 17 out of 23 national titles this century. 17 out of 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all not even close, man. Y'all not even in the ballpark, man.
It's ridiculous.
It's almost as bad as the Oklahoma State series. The charity case in Stillwater.
There's who are just struggling right now themselves. I love the fact that at least Trojan Fight will come in and show his face. Most of these chumps just hide.
You're right. A lot of them done disappeared. All the right wing duck says you don't represent the Big Ten. USC, you suck ass. Yeah, Oregon's pretty much owned y'all.
Oregon. Well, that's the funny thing is that we've said it a million times, and I love bringing it up, so I'll bring it up one more time. Lincoln Riley said he was going to do what when it came to recruiting when going back to SoCal? He was going to put a wall around the state, build a fence around the state, and nobody was going to. And Oregon has been your daddy in the recruiting ever since Lincoln got there. So you guys that's another thing. You go look at the top 20 recruits out of the state of California last year. I think 2 of them ended up going to USC, and Oregon had like 5 or 6. It's some crazy number. So
they
please,
even let Alabama and Oklahoma and Georgia come over and get shit.
oh, dude, it's
Man,
a joke.
he ain't built no wall, man. It's like maybe a speed bump.
You know, I'll be honest about Oklahoma, and I have been honest this whole show. So I sure as hell am not gonna let you come in here and act like USC and Lincoln Riley got anything going on. Y'all are a laughing stock. Bring up that chart that JPC just had up. Who was number 2 on the hot seat chart? Lincoln Riley. You know, that guy is one of the biggest frauds. He is the champion of nothing. He's never won anything that is significant. Nothing.
Yep,
there it is. Number 2. Lincoln, the bitch out west, Riley.
Look, he's right there with Kenny Burns from Kent State.
I mean, just ridiculous, man. This guy has done nothing, you know, and I love it because now he's really gone a long way to expose himself as the fraud that he is. So a lot of people don't talk about him in the same lofty, you know, adjectives that they did before, like genius. You don't hear that word too much anymore.
Johnny Johns backs you up. He said, congratulations, but how's your record against the Big Ten? And it's just like anybody. If you play two SEC games a year, sure, you can win 2. But can you win 7 or 8? I don't think so. If you can't beat Minnesota and Maryland, man, you probably go to Vanderbilt and lose like Alabama did.
Well, I mean, their wins were over LSU and A&M. Like hardly the cream of the crop lately. So not like it's, you know, you're not bragging about much.
He's like, that's funny. Fair question, though. When would you say it's time for the Oklahoma fans to move past the Lincoln hate? Watching every week, we are going into year 4 since he left. Well, here's the thing.
Never.
Here's the thing. Actually, Oklahoma did move on, and he keeps bringing Oklahoma up. Oklahoma's not bringing him up. As I've done numerous podcasts about it. I'm an Alabama fan, so don't say I'm, you know, taking aim at Lincoln Riley just because I'm an Oklahoma fan, because I'm not an Alabama fan. Him and Colin Coward, his little butt buddy, they keep bringing up Oklahoma, talking shit about them for no apparent reason. It's just out of the blue. You'd be in the middle of the summer, and they'll just bring Oklahoma up randomly. So as soon as y'all can keep your mouth off of Oklahoma, then I'll stop grilling y'all. When y'all quit doing stupid shit, I'll stop grilling y'all. But he just keeps doing stupid things and saying stupid things.
The problem is, Trojan Fight, is that the way that he man, the way he disrespected the program on the way out, like that's just, I don't know, man. That's probably not going away for a long time. You just can't do that on the way out, man, and just wish that to go away. It just doesn't work like that. It's sad that y'all get caught in the crossfire, but man, that's what it is.
When someone does something really heinous to you, you probably ain't gonna forget it. Just like with Alabama and Phil Fulmer. Phil Fulmer set Alabama up, got us put on probation, almost got us a death penalty, and they were doing the same exact thing. They did a quid pro quo with the NCAA, and they were funneling money to T. Martin through Western Union in Mobile, and there was a money trail, and they didn't punish Tennessee because Tennessee dropped the goods on Alabama. So we're going to continue to hate Tennessee probably until the day I die.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's nothing against the USC fans, you know, it really isn't. It's nothing personal, man. It's just that guy really that guy, you know, was just very disrespectful. What can I say? That's the nicest way I can say it. And he did some really weird things too, man, like the whole police report thing and just all that nonsense. It was just kind of crazy, man.
Johnny John said they went to the P. Diddy Bowl.
Yeah.
Trojan says, I'm not even saying you outlaw. I'm saying the majority of every OU fan cares more about being right about Lincoln than OU winning. Like I said, OU don't bring him up until he brings Oklahoma up, man. If he wouldn't talk about Oklahoma, he wouldn't have to worry about it. All he's got to do is shut up. Just shut up. Don't talk about Oklahoma, man. Move on. Do what you say you're going to do. Build that wall. Maybe you need Donald Trump to come show you how to build a wall. I don't know, man.
I agree.
Hoss Outdoors and Wildlife says the reason the SEC plays 8 conference games is all about money. They get more bowl games that way. Now they don't play 9 conference games because our conference is a lot tougher, and every one of you outside the SEC has built-in cupcakes in your conference. And don't say Vanderbilt's a cupcake. Vanderbilt's in a bowl game. And they beat Georgia Tech, by the way. So, yeah. Y'all's conference is full of – you got about 3 or 4 cupcakes in your conference. So the SEC only play 8 because we beat up on each other. Y'all want us to play 9 conference games, so we'll take each other out like we did this year. So if I'm the SEC, I never go to 9. Just because y'all can't get the job done most of the time. Now, this year, y'all have gotten a few on the SEC. But that's going to happen every once in a while. But most of the time it's not. 17 out of 23 don't lie. That's not me making something up. That's not me being an SEC homer. That's a fact. 17 national titles in 23 years. Just saying.
That's 100% right. And just look at the talent that goes into the NFL as well. I mean, that's all coming. All of the big defensive line, that's all coming predominantly out of the SEC.
You're right.
Georgia State says hello. What is Georgia State?
Because they beat Vanderbilt.
Oh, Jesus. That means nothing.
He's trying to go by comparative scores, which doesn't work. If you'll look at all the teams that beat other teams that beat them.
Yeah.
You just can't go by that, man.
No.
Football.
That's why they play a game on the field.
Exactly.
Purple Orca's in the house. We need to bring in Oklahoma State, Pitt, and UCF to match Big Ten cupcakeness.
That's right. And we need to, maybe let Georgia State play Minnesota. I bet Georgia State probably could have beat Minnesota, whereas UC couldn't.
Ironically, the funny thing is, I feel because I like Oregon, so I feel bad talking about the Big Ten because I don't want to be dissing on Oregon, right?
That's right.
And ironically, Oregon is maybe one of the biggest, like, if Big Ten is a good conference at all, Oregon's a big reason why, So, which is their first year in the conference, and yet they're one of the biggest reasons lending legitimacy to the strength of the conference. But man, the bottom of that conference is man, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, and it's not just 1 or 2. There's 4, 5, 6, pretty bad teams. There really aren't any SEC cupcakes, man. That's the whole point. Vanderbilt was good enough to beat Alabama and play and should have beat Texas. Who are the cupcakes?
They beat Virginia Tech too.
Who are the cupcakes now?
You can't just go by record either. Now, if you say, well, Mississippi State's a cupcake, they probably are the worst team in the SEC. But if you put Mississippi State in another conference, they'll probably win at least 5 or 6 games.
If you put Mississippi State in the Big 12, they're winning a lot more games than they won this year in the SEC. That's a fact.
They only won 2 this year, but they'll probably win at least 5 or 6. They'll probably double their win total and be at least a mid-level team.
Absolutely.
If you put Vanderbilt this year over there, they probably win the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's but even if you say that we're wrong and you got a couple of cupcakes, you still don't have nearly. It's nothing like what the Big Ten's got on the light side. You know, they're top heavy.
I haven't heard that, John Ritchie. Says there's a lot of players hitting the portal in Knoxville.
Yeah, I heard something about that too. Actually, a bunch of receivers.
Mississippi State did. Mississippi State lost to a Big 12 school. They lost to Arizona State earlier this year. But what I'm saying is if you got one SEC school on your schedule and you beat them, does that mean you can do 7 more of those? That's all I'm saying, man. Anybody can get a one-off. Anybody.
I agree.
Especially these teams like Boise State that don't have a hard conference schedule, and all they got to do is prepare for one big bowl game a year. Sure, they're going to go in there and upset some of these bigger schools. I hope they beat Penn State.
I agree. I don't think they will.
All right, brother. I guess I'm finna get up off here. We've been on here for 2 hours.
All right, my man. I had a good time tonight. Thanks for giving us the platform to talk to Oklahoma fans. And again, you know, we're just calling it like it is, man. We're not trying to stir up no shit. We're just, you know, this is just the way we see it. Take it easy, man. I'll be in touch.
All right, brother. Take care. That was Killer Breeze, the Oklahoma Roughneck. Once upon a time in the Roughnecks, that is. And if you don't mind, jump out, hit the like button, share button. When this thing goes to podcast, you can also share it to your friends. Subscribe to the channel, even if I pissed you off today. I talk about everything college football, not just Oklahoma, although this was mostly an Oklahoma podcast tonight. If y'all have any more questions before I get out of here, just drop them in the comment section, or you can click on the little money dollar sign and push it to the top where I can see it, and I'll read your questions out above everybody else's. Sean James says, been great. Nice to catch you guys live. It is finally glad to see you up in here, brother. And if y'all ever want to be on the show, just get with me on Twitter, a.k.a. X, at OCF Productions. At OCF Productions. I'll throw the banner up real quick. I forgot to do it today. There it is right there. Hit me up on OCF Productions and DMs, and you can be on the show. I'll talk to you off air, and we'll see if you're comfortable with being on live. Even you, Trojan Fight, if you want to be on the show and give us your spiel on why USC is good enough to be in the SEC or whatever it is you want to talk about, brother, you're more than welcome to come up in here and debate live. Anybody. Purple Orca 40 says, I pray BV gets to 9 wins next year. I'm a BV believer. All right. I hope Brent Venables does do that. I was just saying, and Killer Breeze was just saying, that the way things are going, it don't look too good. And that if he doesn't win 9 games next year, most likely he will probably be dismissed. Trojan Fight says the Venable extension was too soon. I agree with that. The knee-jerk reactions of people giving extensions. Most of those extensions are just window dressing, though. They're not real extensions, and they just do it for recruiting purposes, so to make recruits think that there's stability in the program. Hey, look, I got this extension. I'm going to be here for the duration of your college career, which it don't matter anymore because these players leave every year. Some of them only stay half a year, and then some of them play a half a game like Cam Ward's stupid ass did in that bowl game. He played half a game and then sit out the second half. That I'd never seen that before. That's probably the lamest move I've ever seen by a player, that being Cam Ward. When they get to the NFL, they're not going to have a realistic view of how things are going to go because they don't have to abide by any responsibilities in the college game right now. They just take the money and run. Whereas in the NFL, you have to sign contracts, can't tamper with the team. And, you know, I get this all the time about, well, the coaches can leave, why can't the players? Well, the coaches have contracts they've signed, and coaches have to pay buyouts. These players need to start having to pay buyouts or something and just taking the money and run, you know, and screwing the colleges over. You don't see Kansas City giving Patrick Mahomes to Miami or Miami coming in and taking Patrick Mahomes just because they want him, and Kansas City not getting nothing in return. We've got a new member. OU Boomer Sooner has become a YouTube member. He's now in the Outlaw Posse. OU Boomer Sooner now has his badge. He is deputized. And on the next podcast, I will call you and the other guy out that joined earlier. Jay, I think his name was. Jay and OU Boomer Sooner are now in the Outlaw Posse. Have the badge. You're deputized. You'll get a random Four Horsemen shout out, as well as possibly the comment of the day. There's a little join button over by the subscribe button. Now, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those are the big four, and they're all absolutely free. Some people think that subscribe means you got to pay. Subscribing's free. Memberships are $2.99. Long-time listener, new-time member. Well, I'm glad to have you in the posse, brother. And well, like I said, I will give you a deputization and a shout-out on the next podcast. All right, if y'all don't have any more questions for me, I'm going to get out of here. Give y'all a little bit of time. I'll hit the Jeopardy timer. And if y'all got a question or two that y'all want me to hit up real quick, just let me know. You can also, like I said, at the bottom, there's a little $1 sign. Click on it. Push your comment to the top so I can see it. It'll highlight it. Make a small donation to the program. Keep the lights on. Mateer said, Trojan Fight says, is Mateer going to have anyone to throw to? Didn't most of their receivers transfer out? I'm not sure those small school-wide receivers transfers they got are going to make a big difference. That's a fair point. I'm not sure about Oklahoma's wide receiving recruiting right now, but I think they got a few good ones. But, yeah. Trojan Fight says, good chatting with you, Outlaw. Good chatting with you too, brother. We can all disagree, and we can trash talk each other. It's all in good fun. Like I said, if you ever want to be on the show live and you want to come in here and debate live, just hit me up on X at OCF Productions in DMs. Purple Orca 40 says they have Burks back. That's one good wide receiver. Kyle Burnett backs that up. Burks is coming back as well as Jaden Gibson. And got how you say it? Satigna? I don't know how to say it. The guy from Arkansas. All right. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.